to you, Shweta. So, obviously, from what I heard from Abhishek, it obviously, there sounds like there are several filters and a certain number of skills. So, what is kind of generally your advice for people who are looking to kind of start a career in data science, either out of, people who are kind of out of college or just a few years out? And then there is this whole segment which is mid-career, people who kind of maybe 10, 12 years, maybe in technology, maybe in something else, and now they feel that uh, data science is the next hot thing. How do they make that shift? And I'll just ask one corollary question: is that, is data science really restricted to technical people? Which means that, is it again that you become an engineer or you do your MCA and then you become a data scientist, or is it kind of a more open field right now? So that's kind of the general drift of the question. If you could please answer.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, I'll answer all of those in an order. So at GreyAtom, my role has enabled me to see several hundreds of transitions into careers in data science and across all the spectrums that we just mentioned. So I'll first start with some of the skills that we see have worked for people when they are transitioning into these roles across organizations and across the broad spectrum of data science roles, be it a data scientist, be it a machine learning engineer, be it a NLP specialist, across all of these various roles, what has worked for people. So number one thing I would say is, even before algorithms, even before techniques, is that understanding of business and the business problems. So whether the business is solving for a higher revenue or to lower the costs or faster go to market, what is it that the business needs? And then being able to identify that metric and then associate it with a data science metric, right? So, I mean, we can't directly start with a ready-made data set like the way people sometimes start learning data science by attempting Kaggle challenges. In real life, you're never going to get like a ready-made data set on a platter. You're going to go all the way from first understanding and defining a business problem, bringing that business problem into realms of data science, making it a data science problem, defining the metric, and then solving for it. So I think the number one skill needed is understanding of what is the business trying to solve for. The second thing I would say is, 80% of the companies are using applied data science. People are not building newer algorithms. Like, for example, Cure.ai, if we take that example, they are for sure building their own proprietary algorithms. But I think 80% of the company, they use off-the-shelf algorithms and apply them to their business use cases. So if you focus on, again, the business problems and algorithms will then follow. I think the key here is to understand what algorithm should be used in what context. The third thing is around the backgrounds that you mentioned. Is it mandatory for somebody to have a computer science degree and then get into data science? I feel that diverse backgrounds are definitely helping bring in newer perspectives. So let's say somebody is from anthropology and then they understand the customer mindset and customer behavior well. I think they add a lot more value also to a data science team. Having said that, love for tech and coding must be there. So you can teach yourself coding. It's not hard. Python, again, is like a great language to pick up, even if you've not learned programming before. I think learning to code is one of the most easiest pieces of the whole puzzle, I would say. But if you're able to connect back to the customer problem and then what's the business trying to solve for, that's the most important skill. People need to have breadth. So again, we've seen where people succeed is they have a good knowledge of the math, stat, algorithm, programming, business understanding. I think if you have good breadth and then identify a depth in the whole process. So let's say somebody identifies depth in natural language. So that's an area that they love and they want to pursue that further, then so be it. But you need to have one area of depth that differentiates definitely you from a lot of other people. The sweet spot, I would say, for people making a transition is between 2 to 5 years of experience, because at that point in your careers, you're still very much hands on. Somebody who's gone above 10, 12 years and then wants to transition, it's still possible, but it's a little hard because they've gone to do, you know, bigger things up the value chain. So it's just that much hard for somebody to come back and be hands on. On the behavioral traits, I would say that commitment to be lifelong learners is something that's extremely important, because with data science, there's a new framework coming every day. There's a new library that will be out, so you can't be stuck at where you were even a month back. You have to continuously keep learning. And the second behavioral trait I would say is important is the ability to iterate things very fast and have that no sunken cost mindset, that it's possible that you will have to sometimes throw away entire solution that you've built and start from scratch. So you need to have that courage to throw what you've built out of the window and start afresh, because that hypothesis just went wrong. So I think those are some of the behavioral traits.
So at least from the perspective of the audience, what you're at least saying is that the coding and the R Python learning is probably important, but if they have great subject matter expertise, whether it be even in economics, any liberal arts subjects, then they could still make that transition if they are bringing great subject matter expertise. So the coding is not the biggest problem. That can be easily taught, but subject matter expertise is important.
Absolutely. I think if
Okay.
somebody leans towards learning coding, that's fine. I mean, and having said that, I'm not saying that you be hands off. You cannot be hands off. You need to have knowledge of at least one programming language. But yeah, that's a easier piece.
Log on to GreyAtom's learning platform to unlock more content. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates.